So YouTube decided to remove basically the second video that I posted on Fast Eddie's Chop Shop. By the way, you're watching Fast Eddie's Chop Shop, where you have every right to be wrong, and I'm going to break it down for you. I think I said that backwards. My second video, which I believe I labeled Masked Deceit or something like that. Anyway, what they said was that I was spewing, they didn't say spewing, but I was releasing medical disinformation. So anybody who wants to see that video, feel free to send me a private message, or you know what, the next video, I don't have it right here in front of me. I created an email address. I'm going to give you an email address. You send me your email, and I'll send you the video. I'm going to be setting up to where you can actually watch my videos uncensored by the tyrants, the YouTube folks who are trying to kill free speech. And, you know, one thing that I don't understand, I'm assuming that YouTube, come on, is it a leap that the YouTube folks are pretty ultra liberal? But liberal used to mean you didn't trust the government. You had some mistrust of government. You had some mistrust of corporations, some mistrust of government. Now, I figured it out. All the liberals are in the government, and all the liberals are now the corporation. Now they're going to force me to trust them. And I don't. So anyway, they removed my video. They said I had medical misinformation. Maybe it was the way I said it. But I don't think so. You can check out the video. It's still up on Facebook, but you can check it out. But correct me if I'm wrong, YouTube. The governor of California on June 15th said it was okay for folks to remove their mask. The vaccinated to remove their mask. The CDC, weeks before that, said it was okay to remove the mask. And my video was about and asking people why they were leaving their mask on if the CDC and the California government and the federal government said it was okay to remove them. So I think I might have cursed or something in it, and, you know, maybe called folks who left them on in cars names or something. But it got flagged and taken down, and they gave me a warning. So I did appeal it, and what I appealed it on the grounds was, please tell me one thing that I said in that video that was medical misinformation. Maybe you folks out there can tell me. Can your video get removed from Facebook by saying that the government said it was okay to take your mask off on June 15th? That was a fact. That actually happened. So I'm not sure. That's not medical misinformation. The CDC, weeks before that, said that it's okay to take your mask off. So that's not medical disinformation, to repeat that. Well, I technically haven't read word for word what they said, but I think most states are open, and I know here in California, I'm walking through stores and zero mask on. It's legal. So maybe somebody can tell me and define what misinformation means, because stating facts is not misinformation. Maybe somebody can clue me in. I mean, I know there's a lot of new words out there, and maybe I'm just some old fuddy-duddy. I'm not hip on all the new pronouns, and I know there's a whole new language forming. So, maybe you guys can clue me in and get me a little more up to date on what misinformation means. So, it's free speech is dead. We're living under the tyranny of tyrants. You are not in charge of your life anymore. You're not even in charge of the words that you speak. Now, here's my argument. If I woke up tomorrow and T-Mobile had shut my phone off, not for not paying a bill or not for not paying for the phone, but T-Mobile decided to drop in on a phone call, a conference call. T-Mobile decides to drop in on a conference call between you, me, and 10 other people, or 1,000 other people, or 50 other people, but a conference call. T-Mobile drops in, listens in, drops in, puts a public service announcement over top of what we're talking about it, like some loudspeaker comes on and says, please see current CDC guidelines, drops a public service announcement on it like Facebook does, puts some sort of flag on it. And then I wake up the next day and your phone shut off because T-Mobile didn't like the words that you were saying. Even if the words that you were saying was outrageous. Let's say me and you were having a discussion that I believe that there are pink fairies on Mars that are going to come down and give everyone $1 trillion tomorrow. Let's say that I believe that nonsense. T-Mobile comes on the line, listens to me say that, and then the next day I get some sort of email that says, hey man, we shut your phone off, or we're going to shut you off for a week because we feel that what you said was misleading. I would, number one, have a lawsuit because what are you doing listening in? And the reason that phone companies are considered utilities, they weren't always, but phone companies became part of the landscape of public square, a little more like a public domain, because that's how people were starting to communicate. Back in the Western days, they called it the public square. People would meet at town hall. They would go over each other's houses. They would do town halls. They would have discussions. And then technology came along. Now we had phones. And the public square, if you will, the public conversation became over your telephone, which became part of your speech, which became protected, which meant that the phone company really couldn't they couldn't listen in, they couldn't arbitrarily shut you up. They became almost like a public utility, sort of like, the electric companies heavily regulated. Because if somebody think of this, if somebody at the electric company, if somebody at the electric company didn't like you and just said, you know what, I'm shutting Fast Eddie Johnson's electric off because I don't like that prick, and shut my electricity off. They can't do that because the electricity is such an essential part of my life. So they can't do that. So they're heavily regulated. And same way the phone company can't just listen in and shut me down. Well, guess what, folks? Over the last 5 years or so, the public square has become social media. That's right now, me having a discussion with you is sort of like the telephone. This is the public square. This is how we exchange information. Now, some moron, and it might even just be an algorithm based on, they can. There are computers that can listen to words and listen to keywords. I'm sure, like people like the NSA and stuff. They listen for keywords, and then the computer will start listening and all that. So come on, Silicon Valley, the purveyors of technology, don't have the technology to basically make this and every video that comes on bypass through some sort of filter that checks for keywords. So maybe it's just an algorithm. That would be to me the worst thing. If a computer did that, it wasn't a human being. That's worse. But let's say it is a human being. They're human beings that don't think like we do. They're human beings that are if they don't like what you say, it's some person you've never met. Think of this, T-Mobile, listen to your conversation. So somebody that you've never met is horning in on the video or the conversation, if you will, if it's like a Facebook thing. And some person that you've never met who's listening to a conversation that, I would tell you, if you don't like what I'm saying, move on. But anyway, somebody who's sitting there listening to the conversation doesn't like what you're saying and deems it misinformation. So, YouTube, I have a question for you. What's misinformation? Is it misinformation that Governor Newsom on June 15th said it was okay to take the mask off for the vaccinated? Is that misinformation? Or is it misinformation that the CDC said, okay, we can start taking our masks off? Is that misinformation? Is it misinformation that the federal government is reluctantly, but now saying, well, the CDC says you can take it off, and they're letting folks take it off? Everything I just said is true. What part of that's misinformation? Or did you not like my tone? Are we now in a society where some asshole that you have never met, never will meet, arbitrarily doesn't like your tone? Again, liberals, you used to not trust the government. You used to not trust corporations until you became the corporation and you became the government. Now you want to shut everything down. But for all you old school liberals who might not like what I'm saying, might not like the way I speak, are we really to the point where you can shut me down because maybe you don't like my tone? Are we in that kind of society of safe spaces and speech is violence where we can't have a conversation? We can, as long as I agree with everything you say, that's okay. But the minute I say something, you don't. This is our fault to all the libertarians and Republicans out here. I'm going to point at me too. This is your fault. Your fault. Look in the mirror. Because for decades, they've been shutting us down. They've been silencing us. And we just been bowing down. And you know what we've always said? Well, free speech. I absolutely hate those ideas, but they have a right to say it. And we've been allowing them to eat away and eat away and eat away until now, if you don't agree what they say, they shut you down. They say what you say is hate speech. They call what you say misinformation. They destroy you they eliminate you on social media so that you can't be heard. They destroy you if they can. Destroy your reputation with the cancel culture and everything else. At what point do we get sick and tired of this? I'm getting there. I post 2 videos. The first video was about how free speech is dead. Magically, they left that up. The second video was quote unquote misinformation about what we'll find out. They won't tell me. I appealed it. I sent some email, but they'll send me some little form letter, I'm sure. But you know what, guys? This is absolutely getting ridiculous. You either believe that you're allowed in this country to say anything that you want, and we do have limits to speech. Couple limits. You can't use your speech to fraud somebody. To rip somebody off. You can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater is the example. You can't use speech that is literally like, people could get trampled if you did that is going to hurt somebody through fraud and actually lying. You're not allowed to lie. It's in a courtroom, it's perjury. So from that aspect, that's what it boils down to. You're not allowed to lie. The problem is the modern government, which is YouTube, they are way more powerful than the U.S. government. Way more powerful. Now, a little side note here. And so I don't get taken off. I'm not trying any misinformation. I'm just telling you what I've seen in some videos. It looks like, again, I don't know if this is true, but if any of you guys watch, some Tim Pool or Tucker Carlson, it's being reported that, and again, I don't know if it's directly or indirectly. Go check it out yourself. I don't want any misinformation out there. That YouTube funded something. Again, I don't want any misinformation out there, but do yourselves a favor. Go online, not through Google, because Google owns, I said YouTube funded. It's not, it's Google. So use, I like DuckDuckGo. There's actually some paid things that you can go on, web browsers. You don't have to. I go on DuckDuckGo, set all the settings. I don't use Google when I'm doing searches. It's none of their business. But do your search outside of Google and just type in Google Wuhan connection, and then you're going to get a lot of information. Again, I'm not saying it on here, but check it out for yourself. And guess what, folks? This is America. Make your own decision. And if we don't start standing up to this and making a stand, you Republicans, you libertarians, and truthfully now, all of you old school liberals, all you liberals that didn't quite sign up for this cancel culture that's going on. Most comedians are liberal and they're all up in arms. They can't even make jokes anymore because some arbitrary people are determining that their speech is somehow a lie, misinformation, trying to spew hate. Now they're trying to act like speech is violence. My humble opinion, free speech is you can say anything that you want. Actually, you can even lie. Truthfully, you can lie. It's only a penalty if you lie under oath. You have to swear not to. But again, speech where you're frauding somebody, you're hurting somebody financially, fraud. You can't do that. But I literally could at least back in the day, do some video and say, I am King Eddie and I come from Mars and I'm starting a new cult and I believe this and that. And if you were dumb enough to follow me, it's America. You have a right to be stupid. So, it's time we ended all this stuff, all this absolute nonsense. I want everybody to take a real hard check at where our country's going. All the technology, they're going to have the ability to silence you. Again, I'm rambling a little bit, but you know what, everyone? It is time that we put our foot down. It is time that, somebody please open, and they are. There's, you've got Parler. I know David Rubin's starting something called Locals. I think it's called Locals. I'm not quite sure what that is yet, but I'm going to check it out. But you know what? It's our fault. It's all your fault. And here's why. Other people have tried to start other options. There are other YouTube options out there. They're not successful. Why? Because we continue to communicate on this platform here. So what we all need to do is start communicating on other platforms that don't censor us and migrate. I understand. I'm making a video right now that's going to go on YouTube. It's going to go on Facebook. Again, apologize. I'm not using, I've got a hell of a setup here. I got a really good, super good camera up there. I've got, check it out. I've got great mics. I've got equipment, but this was a little more important. I didn't want to sit down and go through all the editing. I'm learning all that stuff. This video is important. I put 2 videos out. The second one got censored and taken down already for medical misinformation. Again, I'm not going to rehash it, but I think the whole point of this video is I'm looking in the mirror going, Eddie, that's your fault that you allowed our country to get this way. And I'm pointing at all you out there, all you Republicans, all you liberals, old school liberals, not the modern day whack jobs, but old school liberals, libertarians. I tend to lean libertarian. It's my fault. It's your fault because we let them silence us. We tried to play by the rules, and you know what? They're way better than we are. They stood around for decades. All these crazies stood around for decades crying free speech, free speech. Let us act and be and say and do whatever we want to do. And you know what we did? We said, okay, you're right. What we didn't count on is once they got the power, they're now turning around and we're the ones going, hey, wait a minute. You have to let us be who we are and say what we want to say. And they're going, So, one day, and all you out there are going to think I'm nuts, but someday, when you're sitting in some gulag, for lack of a better word, or camp, let's call them camps, and you're sitting there and the cell next to you, a bunch of folks got taken to get a bath or to get a shower, and you're sitting there wondering, how did this happen? This is how it happens. And the people on the other side are going to think that they're doing the world a favor, just like they did back in the Hitler days. They're going to think they're doing the world a favor. They're going to think that you and I are nothing but people that are full of hate when we're not. But they're so radical that everything that we say is somehow hate driven or misinformation. When it's not, they're gonna call you racist. Hey, and I want you to think about this. If they really believe that about you, which a lot of them do, doesn't it make sense that they want to shut you up, number one, and then eventually pull you out of this world to take you out? If they really believe that you are that evil, it only makes sense that they do. That's how the concentration camps happened. Hitler got everyone to believe that the Jewish people were basically insects and weren't even human beings. And he convinced a big enough group of people and that people followed him blindly. People would go, normal men and women would go to work at the concentration camp, kill 1,000 people, 10,000 people, go home and play with their kids and pet their dog and not think anything of it and think they were doing the world a favor. How does that happen? That happens exactly what's going on right now. And you can laugh at me and you can think that I'm stupid, but once again, someday when you're being marched in a line, if we don't stop this, you'll be being marched in a line and you'll be going, how did I get here? I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not who they say I am. Why do they hate me? And why am I being led to some little room with a couple showers in it? It's disgusting, but that's how it happens. I know you think I'm crazy and I know you think I'm wrong, but I'm not. If we don't stop this, this is how that happens. We tend to think that history is something in the far distant past, and it's not gonna, those barbarians we're so civilized today. No, we're not. We're just as corrupt and stupid and mindless as the Nazis were. Humankind is still barbaric. The only thing that's changed is our technology. That means that whenever that type of thing comes around again, it'll be a lot cleaner. It'll be a lot more sanitary. It won't be as ghastly or as gross, but it'll have the same net result. Mankind is still barbaric, and every generation has to stop themselves from becoming divided by the way they're dividing us. We've got to stop it. And again, this video, I could sit here and talk about this all night long, make it hours and hours and hours. But I've I kind of meandered about a little bit. But at the end of the day, this is the public square, and they're shutting us down on the public square because they don't like what we have to say. What's next? I know where this leads. Even if you think I'm crazy, again, you'll be sitting there or marching off to the showers asking yourself how this happened. Mankind is no different. We have to be careful out there because, again, mankind is atrocious. And if we recognize that about ourselves, and that's you and me, that's liberals, that's Democrats, that's Republicans, we divide ourselves in everything. Free speech, the ability to say pretty much anything that you want, is what keeps that kind of thing from happening. Because free speech allows you and I to exchange ideas. But just like Germany, what they're doing is they're convincing people, don't let those people talk, because what they have to say is hate. What they have to say is going to destroy you. What they have to say is vile, and you have to shut them down. And I know it doesn't seem right, but you got to shut them down. So the crazy liberals who believe that slowly take over the normal liberals who used to believe in free speech and used to be able to go to a bar on a Friday night and have a conversation with somebody that they might not even like all the way, who has a different opinion. But at the end of the night, have a toast and, at least, hey, cheers. I don't agree with you. Let's agree to disagree. But you could have a conversation. And once in a while, God forbid, you might allow someone to change your mind. I've had my mind changed by a couple of liberal ideas where I actually, they're few and far between, but where I'm actually like, you know what? The police. I am not 1,000% behind the police. There's good cops and bad cops, and God bless the good ones, but I'm not this thin blue line guy, because every other day they go out there and do something really stupid, because really the police have, and I'm going to get off on another topic, I'll talk about this one of these days, they have become militant. They have become, it's about profit. They're not peace officers anymore. They're a government militia, a for-profit militia is what they are. And it can be ugly, and they do stupid stuff. If they left people alone and they weren't out there, most violence happens, guess what? The police at traffic stops. So if you guys had stopped trying to make so much money off of people speeding, there'd be less violence. Again, it's the profit part and them trying to make money that causes all this. And so, again, over time, I've allowed, that's kind of a little bit of a liberal idea. So I'm not I'll change my mind about stuff. If I hear a good idea or I believe something, I'm going to change my mind about it if it makes sense to me. And if I don't, and I think you're crazy, then I'll tell you you're crazy. But I'm not gonna go around saying that you're vile and you hate me. But actually, think about it. I kind of am, a little bit. I do think what you shutting me down and claiming I have misinformation is vile. I really don't like you a whole lot for doing that to me. There's the dividing line. Free speech solves all that. I let you say what you want to say, and you let me say what I want to say, and rational thinking adults have a conversation. And if you think I'm full of shit, tell me I'm full of shit. Tell everyone listening to me I'm full of shit, but I still should have the ability to be full of shit. Make sense? Anyway, that's my thoughts. Rant over. One of these days, I'm going to do a poignant video and try and stay on topic. But there's so much going on. I think next week I'm going to discuss the CDC. Get this. Let's do this. Next week, I'm going to pull up and go over from the CDC the 10 signs of becoming senile, losing cognitive ability. I wonder who we're going to, without saying a name, I wonder who we're going to be describing. But I'm going to go and I'm going to pull from the CDC what they say to look for when you're in cognitive decline, Alzheimer's. And I think it's going to be pretty amazing on who you're going to be reminded of. I almost can't say the name because my video might be removed. All right. Have a good weekend. I'll see you guys later.